Well, happy Bulletproof Monday, everyone. I hope you're having an incredible day. Susan Sly here, and I just want to welcome you wherever you are in the world. We're going to talk about becoming masterful at anything in 8 simple steps today. And mastery is really a personal definition. For some of you, mastery means being the best, being the number one in a company, being number one in a race or whatever it is. For some of you, mastery is more internal. It's very intrinsic. It's a destination for you that allows you to do more of what's important to you. And perhaps that's pay your mortgage. Perhaps it's your car payment, to take some great trips, to donate, to tithe, whatever it is. So when we think about mastery, it's really about reaching a level of accomplishment where we become much more confident than we already are. And I want you to think about an area of your life right now where you would like to become masterful. So perhaps it's investing, perhaps it's direct sales, network marketing, perhaps it's sales in general. Whatever it is for you as related to your business, just know that there are always new frontiers to conquer. And it's great to see so many regular attendees here. Hey, Bruce and Ivy and Laura, Barbie Lee, it's great to see you. Das and Marcia, I just want to acknowledge you. Sharon and Sandra, it's great to see all of you. So let's talk about this concept of personal mastery and this ability to learn new things. When Jesse Itzler, who was a guest on my podcast show, Jesse, his wife is Sarah Blakely. So a lot of people know Sarah. Sarah was the founder of Spanx. She's a self-made billionaire, but Jesse is no slouch. Jesse actually created Zico coconut water. He founded NetJets. He sold that to Warren Buffett's company, one of his companies. And so Jesse is this person that is always trying to become masterful. And last year he turned 50. And when he was, I interviewed him a couple weeks before his 50th birthday. I said, hey, Jesse, what are you doing for your 50th birthday? He said, I'm going to learn 50 new things. Jesse wrote a book last year called Living with Monks. He went and lived with monks to immerse himself, but what he's most famous for in the writing world is a book called Living with a Navy SEAL. So Jesse invited Navy SEAL David Goggins to come live with him. And so David would wake Jesse up at 2 in the morning and be like, okay, let's go running. And then Jesse would go back to sleep after the run. 3 hours later, let's go running again. Let's do 1,000 push-ups today, whatever it was. And so David, in living with Jesse, forced Jesse to become masterful over his emotions, masterful over his body, masterful over his fitness. And so, you might say, gosh, I wish I could have a David Goggins live with me, or I wish I could have Warren Buffett live with me and tell me what to invest in. And those are all well and great aspirations, but at the end of the day, mastery does truly come from within. And as I share with you these 8 strategies, I'll also share that they're strategies I've used myself for my own personal mastery. And so back in 2001, I have to think back about that. I'm dating myself. Back in 2001, I decided I had been exposed to the industry of network marketing. And at that time, I was pregnant for my son. I was contemplating, I didn't really want to go back to work. I had been working full time for the largest health club chain in the world. I was doing a lot of soul searching, and I had this vision that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. But guess what? I want to be a stay-at-home mom with a full-time CEO salary. I did not want to be a stay-at-home mom asking my husband for money. That was just, hey, shouts out to you if that's you. Love you, props, you're a queen. For me, I wanted the salary and the life. So I knew that I couldn't just slack. I had to become masterful at it. So in using the strategies I'm going to share with you today, that's what helped propel me to making millions of dollars in that industry. The same thing is true when I decided that I wanted to become a pro triathlete. My first race I did as a duathlete, which is a run, a bike, and a run. I was in Western Ontario, and I go to do this race. I was on a borrowed bike, and I came in next to last. I didn't even know how to shift gears on the bike. So imagine, if you know anything about cycling, I'm going up this hill in the hardest gear. All these people are passing me. I'm like, so finally I get off the bike and I start like walking it up the hill. And I was not masterful. I was the opposite of masterful. I was messiful. Let's call it that. But I looked at the bike rack that had all the elite racers on it. And I looked at these girls and I'm like, whatever they've got, I want some of that. And so I came back from that race. I hired a running coach, I hired a cycling coach, and I hired a swimming coach. And you know what, the next year I was racing on that elite rack. And I think I came second in that race as a pro woman 1 year later. So we hear Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell is like, it's going to take 10,000 hours. It's going to take 10,000 hours for you to become masterful. I would say, to become at the top of your game, in the top of the world, yes, I agree with Mr. Gladwell. I love his books. But for you to become masterful, that gets you to that next level in your life, in your business, whatever it is, your finances, you might not need 10,000 hours, but you're going to have to make some decisions. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I do want to do a couple of quick announcements. One, much love for those of you who sent me some early birthday announcements. I didn't ever used to talk about my birthday, but I think now that I'm getting closer to 50, I'm like, I gotta talk about my birthday. This is all good, you know? Anyway, so shouts out to all of you. My birthday is Wednesday, Libra sisters and brothers. Anyway, thank you for those beautiful wishes. My class, Organize Your Life, it starts tomorrow, Tuesday, depending when you're listening to this, Tuesday, September 24th. This is the last time I'm teaching it live. Why? It's just, I've got so many roles in my life now, but I'm so passionate. Over 1,000 students through this program. I taught it all over the world. And we're going to take a different approach this time. It really is going to be to help you get rid of procrastination and to focus on that one thing, that one goal that is going to shift your life, whatever that is. So you can check it out. I have left the discounted price up. Don't tell Tisha. So on SusanSly.com, it's only $347. You get 6 weeks with me live. You get the homework, the live coaching. Classes are 60 minutes. Normally, I do record them all. So if you can't be on live one, you will get the recording. But I do give extra time for live coaching. So this is your last opportunity to work with me in this program. I wrote a best-selling book on this topic. Organization is more than your sock drawer. And I love people who teach that style of organization, but organization is how you live your life. And so check it out on SusanSly.com. But anyway, let's get into these today. So the first one I want to give you, if you're taking notes, is number one, clearly define what it is you want to become masterful at and why. You know, why is it? Why is it that this is going to change your life for the better if you become masterful at it? Because when I get into some of these other aspects of becoming masterful, you are going to have to commit some time. You're going to have to commit some resources. So why is it? So there's a story, a famous story of this woman homeless to Harvard. Her name's Liz Murray. And both her parents were addicts. They both died. And here's this kid putting herself, going to school, sleeping on friends' sofas, but doing her homework under bridges. And there was a class trip to Harvard, and she was invited to go. The principal didn't even know she was homeless. And she went to Harvard, and it changed for her. Her whole life changed. Her possibilities changed. And she decided that her situation that she was in, being homeless, being the child of addicts, that did not define who she was as a person. And so she decided to do whatever it would take to become masterful enough to get accepted to Harvard. She got accepted and went on a full scholarship to Harvard. You can check out her story. It's very cool. So what I hear in my, and you know, many of you know, I'm a certified coach. What I hear a lot of stories. Susan, I want to make 6 figures in my business. I want to make 7 figures. I want. It's a whole different level between wanting and being committed to something. Because once you decide that you want something and you're clear and you're committed, the tests will come like that. When I started to work with Radius, I knew that on the team, I knew the least about AI, and we're an AI company. So the first thing I did was I enrolled in a class at MIT because it's the best class in the world for artificial intelligence. And it was hard. And there were times I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm spending all these extra hours every single week, all day Sunday, doing homework, assignments, all of it. If I didn't know why I was doing that and what the betterment was for me, for my family, for the company I was growing, I would have quit. And this is what happens all the time. I want. And if you're in, I know many of you are, let's say you're in network marketing and you're like, I want to be a whatever platinum, crystal, whatever, ruby, diamond, whatever it is you want to be. Those are just words, because the question is, are your actions meeting what you say you want? And mastery means that your actions are in alignment with what you say is important. And whatever it is you want to become masterful at, if I visited your home, I would want to be so clear without you even telling me what your goal was. So if you want to become masterful at triathlon, do I see Triathlete magazine there? Do I see all your healthy protein shakes and everything else? Is your bike hung up, newly polished? You know, everything is just in alignment with what you say is important to you. Because I see this a lot too. People will say, I want something, but if I'm around them, their actions are so far away with what they're telling me they want. I know they will never get it until they change what they're doing. Does that make sense, everybody? Number two, you've got to carve out the time to learn. You've got to carve out the time to learn. You cannot be a professional at anything unless you're carving out time to learn about your profession. So let's say, as an example, you say, well, you know what? I want to become a professional day trader. Going on Market Watch and watching a little CNBC is not going to be enough. You have to carve out time to learn. So I have a friend, his name is Nicholas. Nicholas just graduated from university. He's a friend of my good friend. He's a son, sorry, of my good friend, Mark. So I was backstage speaking at this huge event, and Mark said, you have to talk to Nicholas about Forex trading, which is foreign exchange trading. So I start talking to Nicholas. I think he was a junior at USC at that time. And I said, Nicholas, how are you doing? He said, well, this month, Susan, I made $16,000. Now he's in college, right? And I said, how did that happen? He said, you know what? I carved out time between studying and working to learn Forex every single day. I took courses. I got a practice account before I started trading real money. I read every book people recommended, and that's what he did. How many of you, you know, at that young, I think he was 21 at the time, during college would like to make an extra $16,000 a month? I know some are like, I want to make an extra $16,000 a month now. But that's just an example of this young man who really took the time to learn. So that's number two. Number three is you've got to find one conference that is going to allow you to have an immersive experience in what you say you want to become masterful at. You know, it's interesting because online is great, but it's not the same as immersion. And I'll give you an example. So I used to teach an immersion program. It was 3 days called Power Prospecting. And it was for people in the direct sales space. And as horrible as this sounds, I used to lock them in the room. You couldn't get out of the room. I'd be like, go to the bathroom, take care of your stuff, whatever it is you need to do. But you come back in the room and you make calls. You're not allowed to leave until you've made X number of calls, right? And I had coaches and people in the room. It was immersive. And you had with sponsor new people in a day because they were in a situation where they were learning and they were doing. And that's totally, totally different. So going to one conference where you are physically doing both is key. So in April, I'm doing my second only 4 days conference, and some of you were at the last one. So in that conference, you learn and then you do. So if someone's teaching you about Instagram, you learn it and then you go do it. And then we have something called art gallery, where we get to see what it is you're producing for your own marketing, right? And that's immersion. So last year we had Dennis Yu there with talking about 1-minute videos, and everyone had to make their 1-minute video, 1-minute story. So, you know, it's so key to have immersive style learning. I don't want to go to one conference where I just sit and I watch people and I never take any action, because you know what happens? You come back from those conferences and you still have a massive to-do list and you don't apply anything that you've just learned. How many of you can relate to that, right? So you've got to attend at least one conference where you have that immersion style of learning for whatever it is you want to become masterful at. Last year, I decided I wanted to become masterful at options trading. So, you know, I take courses where I will physically go and sit in a room for 2 days and we'll practice trade in a practice account, right? And that's different than if I say, oh, I'm going to do a little bit of learning every day. So you've got to have that immersive experience. Number 4, find 3 books on the topic in your field that you want to become masterful at. And the reason I say 3 books by 3 different authors. When I decided I wanted to become masterful at network marketing, I read so many books. I read, oh my gosh, Your First Year Network Marketing. I read, like, I can't even, like, so many. And then I read books related to it, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, understanding the difference between an employee and a self-employed person and a business owner. So when I decided, when I was in my 20s, that I wanted to become a millionaire, I've read 700 books on the topics of wealth and finance and sales and neuro-linguistic programming. And, you know, and no, that doesn't give me an extra university degree, but it gives me a whole wide variety of perspectives. Now, I don't agree with the perspectives of every book that I've read, but I'll tell you something. What I do is I read a book and I get one good thing of it, I'll highlight it, I'll dog-ear it, I'll go apply what I've learned, and then come back to the book. And so you can't be absorbing information fast enough in this day and age if you want to become masterful. The next one is find a course that will allow you to do a deep dive. That's different than going to an event, but it's a course that is going to allow you to go deeper into what it is you say you want. And if there's a certification, even better. As I said, you know, when I took the course at MIT, there was a certification in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I have this beautiful, like, MIT style, you know, thing to put on my wall. When I wanted to learn NLP, I became an NLP certified practitioner and trainer. So thinking about this and thinking about what you want to become masterful in, if you want people to respect you, don't just hang out a shingle and say, I'm a coach. Go become a certified coach, as an example. If you want to, you know, if, let's say, you want to become masterful at making money, then go to a wealth building seminar, but then further that, take some kind of wealth building certification, because that's going to force you to be held accountable for what it is you're learning. The next thing is number 6, shift your optics on social media. So often we send confusing messages. And so let's say, hey, Angela, let's say, for example, Angela says, you know what, I really want to pivot who it is I'm being. I want a much more professional kind of image. And, you know, I want to change things up. I want to attract a new level of client or customer. Then shift what it is you're posting on social media, what it is you're commenting on social media, what it is you're sharing on social media. You know, my friend Marcus Murphy was just featured in Forbes. He's a global LinkedIn expert. Marcus's big platform is LinkedIn. He's doesn't try and do a lot of Facebook or Instagram. LinkedIn is his jam. That's where he monetizes. That's where he gets his speaking events. What Marcus posts on LinkedIn is very relevant to the LinkedIn audience. What he posts on LinkedIn might not be relevant to an Instagram audience. And the same thing is true for you. So figure out what you want to be masterful in, and then show the world that this is your intention. So as an example, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, I'm posting, sharing stuff about AI, about women as CEOs, how only 6.6% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. There's a lot of things that I'm posting with regard to the optics of who I am, how I'm showing in the world. And so it would be the next thing that I would give you, because it's also going to force you to look for relevant content in the area you want to become masterful in and share what is relevant. Number 7 is a mastermind, some kind of group, so you can hold yourself accountable in this area that you want to become masterful in. I cannot say this enough, that it's one thing to be left to our own devices. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, I want this, but I'm not going to tell anyone about it. And I'm, just going to do it and we'll see. And you're not going to do it. There was a study done by Gallup, and I'll just give you an example with weight loss. And what they found is people who tend to go on a weight loss program with 2 friends are 68% more successful than those who try and do it by themselves. And it's not just weight loss, it's everything you try and do. And that's why, years and years ago, I joined a mastermind. It was $75,000 a year, and I'm still close friends. I did that for a few years, and then the mastermind wound down. I'm still close friends with all of those 32 people. We still get together once a year, and I'm learning from them. I'm growing from them. And as I'm on the trajectory that I'm on, they're my biggest cheerleaders, but they're also my fiercest critics, but not in a bad way, in a very positive way. And that's what a mastermind group will do for you. I am starting a very low-cost mastermind coming up in the next 30 days. And that mastermind is going to be for people who want to grow a small business, and some of them who may want to go and actually do a startup. And we have a partnership with an incubator called Coplex, and what they guarantee is that your venture will go to a $5 million valuation in 9 months. So I am going to be starting that. The cost of entry is going to be ridiculous. Like if you go to Starbucks every day, you can afford to do it. And we're going to create a community, but I'm capping the number of people in it, where we are going to talk about marketing and business and leadership and all the tough stuff. And you're going to get mentored by me. So that is coming. And then the last thing, number 8, is take your emotions out of it. Ladies, I am going to speak to you, my sisters, my queens. You know exactly what I am talking about. So someone said something, they didn't like what you were wearing or how you said something, or you're ambitious and whatever, and you're taking it so personally. You have to take the emotions out of it. If Laura Tesmer called me tomorrow and said, Susan, I want to become a professional baker and I'm going to be, on the Food Network, I'd be like, Laura, queen, you can do this because I know you. You can do anything you put your mind to. You need people around you like that, because you will get emotionally beaten up when you decide to become masterful at something. If Bruce Corkill said to Susan, I want to qualify for Boston, I'd be like, King, you can do it. You're amazing. I am your cheerleader. The people who will be your biggest detractors will try and hurt you, and you have to take emotion out of it and not listen to them, because you will not become masterful at anything if that's the case. And I want to finish with this, because you might be saying, well, Susan, this is all well and good. Those are 8 amazing strategies. And I see, I need to put the time in. I need to immerse myself. I need to be surrounded by people who get me, who get it, that, all of it, I get it. And I've used these same 8 things. Last week, I was just featured in a nationally syndicated column, read by millions of people, as an expert in artificial intelligence. A year ago, that wouldn't have been the case. But again, I used all of these strategies, and I've been quoted in PETA Crunch, and my startup is a top 10 startup in Phoenix. This is a really competitive market for startups. We didn't pay for any of that press. I get emails every day, oh, if you pay $3,000, we'll say you're in the top 10 of this. No, I'm like, I don't pay for press. This is what we do. And my whole point being, whether it's AI or triathlon or whatever it is, I've used all of these things to get to a place in my life, which might not mean anything to anyone else. It just means something to me personally. When the girl who failed calculus in university, look at the certificate from MIT of all places, me and Iron Man, it means a lot to me because it's personal mastery. And the thing I will say to you in close is, one, you're amazing. Two, you can truly be, do, and have anything you dream. That's why I tell my kids every single night, don't apologize for your ambition. I don't care if you're 60, if you're 16, I don't care how old you are. If there's something you want to learn, it's something you want to do and excel at, then just freaking do it. So with that, free coaching is coming up only for people on my list. Go to susansly.com. I will not spam you. Sign up for the list. That's only for the subscribers. It's free to subscribe, and that is coming up. And that's where you get to have $1 million certified coach who coaches you in real time over, all your business stuff. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about that. So with that, God bless. I hope to see you all in Organize Your Life again, starting on Tuesday. If this has been helpful for you, share it, like it, comment. I read all of your comments, and I will speak. Goodbye, everyone.